All right, we're going to now do some refinement, do some modifications. We extruded this column from the bottom. So this column was actually built as a component extruded from the plan straight up. Now we're going to modify that column actually by composing it from the reference plane along here in that direction in reference to some of the components that we actually have. So we're going to go to section 1, and we would like to keep it as a wireframe so we can see the elements behind. All right, so you can see how this column was actually made that way. So what I like to do is go back to level 1 and just get rid of the first column. Okay, get rid of the first column, delete it, and we should see the column behind it. We should see the column behind it when we're looking at that section 1. So yes, there is a column here, but that's the column behind. So we're going to now build a new column in reference to what we have here. So what we like to do, we've already created a reference plane. This is my reference plane. And remember, we call that reference plane rafter 1. So I'm going to go to this section, that section, which is my section 1, and I'm going to compose a column which is now a little bit more detailed with the holes for my rebars before. So I'm going to go Architecture, pull down the menu for Component, Model in Place. I'm going to make a column, and I'm going to say OK. Column 1, that's fine. I'm going to do an extrusion. Because I'm not in the floor plan, it should ask me actually where I'm going to extrude it, but for some reason it automatically perhaps assumes where I'm going to do it. So I'm going to basically come up with this line, and I'm going to go ahead and use this line. Now I'm going to come on up here, and I'm going to come up with a line that kind of ends it here, and perhaps come up with a circle like this. And I'm going to move that hole actually up higher, and I'm going to change that hole perhaps a little bit different. All right. You may decide to even reduce the size of the column if you wish. That is up to you. But I like where it is. I like what's going on. So I'm just going to chamfer this joint and that joint, this joint and that joint. And then I'm going to get rid of this one. Before I go too far, I want to remind myself how big was it. It should have been 12. Okay. So the distance from here to here should have been 12. For some reason it's not 12. It's perhaps because of as I offset it, I made the column, I made it slightly off. I know this is the center, so this time I'm going to make it a whole lot more accurate. So I'm going to, rather than starting there, I'm going to start all over, and I'm going to actually start right off of the center line. Right there. I'm going to make the column 8 inches, so I'm going to offset it 4 inches. I'm going to offset it 4 inches only. So here's my 4, here's my 4. All right. Now I'm going to yank it up because I want to basically come all the way up here so that I can actually close it up. So I'm going to close it up here, here. Get rid of the center line. I no longer need the center line. Circle. If I go all the way here, it means it's half circle, so I got it. Close this up. All right, so that's my clean surface. Clean up the bottom. And I would like it to go from my reference plane back 8 inches only. 8 inches only. Very precise, okay? Later on, I move it exactly where I would like to move it. So it goes like this. And oops, I want to actually go back and change and put the holes in there. So I'm going to edit extrusion, and I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to put the first hole over here. So I'm going to offset here about 2 inches. So I'm going to offset it 2 inches. All right, maybe another, actually 3 inches. All righty, let's do 1 more inch. See if it lets me. Yes, it does. And get rid of this one. And I'm going to draw a circle there. It's telling me that I have an extra line. I get rid of it. Here it is. That's my first rebar. And probably my hole, I would like to offset it 1 inch. No, maybe half an inch, 0.5. That's better. So I would like my hole to be there. That's my rebar, okay? So I then would like to continue that hole to happen here. So I'm going to copy from that center to this center and I'm going to make sure it was perfectly aligned. Copy this one, copy. You can do multiple, which is what I should have done, to this point, and check. Alrighty, and check. Now I'm going to go back to my 3D and see what I have actually constructed. So I have actually constructed this with these holes right there. The holes, I changed their location, and I may actually change my rebars accordingly. So I may decide to actually brand new holes, brand new rebars that are going here. Now I'm going to go back to level 1 and see where my column is and see if I would like to center it. So what I like to do is go architecture, annotate. It's up to you if you want to annotate or center line the other way. So I'm going to go from there to there, there to there, and I want to center my column too. So, all right. So I'm going to move from the center to, I'm sorry, you have to remove the constraint. You want it to move it from there, the center, to here. All right. So move from the center to center. Now it's not letting me to move it because it's linked to this reference plane. Sometimes you have to copy and go from the center to this point. Again, no constraint. Now it's letting me. There it is. All right. Now I'm going to get rid of the first one, the original one, go back to 3D, and now I can see it. Now the column is inside, and that's where it is. And then I'm going to construct my tubes later on different.